Hillary Clinton.
Coming up on Carolina News. FBI investigation. The FBI is reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email use. We'll tell you all the latest information on what we know. Personal foul. Another domestic violence case in the NFL. Is it a league issue or who is really to blame? And clowning around.
We have not had an influx of clown costumes walking out the door.
After the spooky clown sightings all over South Carolina, how many clowns can we expect to see this Halloween? All that and more next on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Sophie Keyes.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kelsey Richardson. Breaking news this afternoon, the FBI is reopening the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails. FBI Director James Comey made this announcement in a letter today. Clinton arrived in Iowa for a rally just after the announcement. Comey says the FBI recently obtained new emails that have prompted further investigation as to whether or not these emails are classified information. Comey did not say how the FBI got a hold of these emails. The case was previously closed in July when Clinton was found not guilty. With our game against Tennessee tomorrow night, let's hope this nice weather sticks around.
Let's kick it out to our weather specialist, Chris Malooly, out at Williams-Brice Stadium for our first forecast.
That's right, Sophie. Here at Williams-Brice, it's another hot day, temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 80s. And going into the weekend, we're going to see a bit of the same bit of weather. But how cold will it be during the game? We'll tell you more about that later on in our show.
A routine flight on the campaign trail led to intense moments on the runway for Republican vice presidential nominee Mike Pence. Last night, Pence's plane skid off the runway while making a landing at New York's LaGuardia Airport. First responders arrived shortly after, assisting Pence and other passengers. Images taken from the scene show damages to the runway from the moment of impact. Pence later sent out a tweet saying he's thankful everyone on the plane is safe and grateful to the first responders. The National Transportation Safety Board and Federal Aviation Administration is investigating the incident. And at his rally in Toledo, Ohio last night, Donald Trump assured his supporters that Pence is okay. But that's not all he had to say.
Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes on small businesses up to 45%. What a difference. You know, what a difference this is. And just thinking to myself right now, we should just cancel the election and just give it to Trump, right? What are we even having it for? What are we having it for? Her policies are so bad.
Trump also spent time discussing Clinton's leaked emails and solving problems in America's inner cities. Ohio is a must-win battleground state for Trump. He has 3 stops today in New Hampshire, Maine, and Iowa. Melania Trump will also give some speeches to help out her husband in the final stretch.
Hillary Clinton has some help of her own. We've seen Michelle Obama campaigning for Hillary Clinton, but last night in North Carolina, the First Ladies took the stage together.
Every election is about the future, and this one is about whether we build on the progress we've made, the legacy that President Obama has built, or rip it away and go backwards.
She has
Clinton
more experience and exposure to the presidency than any candidate in our lifetime. Yes, more than Barack, more than Bill. So she is absolutely ready to be commander-in-chief on day one. And yes, she happens to be a woman.
Clinton took advantage of Michelle Obama's popularity among voters to win over some last-minute votes in the final 11 days. While Clinton is still ahead by 6 points in CNN's latest poll, her campaign worries that some voters' confidence in her could convince them Clinton will win without their vote. USC could be adding a huge housing village expected to hold over 3,500 students to the south side of the downtown campus. But some people living in a neighborhood near the area aren't so thrilled about it. Hannah Sims has the story.
This new housing project by USC could be adding a lot more housing for students in the years to come. Phase 1 of the project, including almost 1,500 beds and a garage, is expected to be built in 2019. Phases 2 and 3 will add more dorms, and there will also be courtyards, retail shops, and restaurants added to the village during the 7-year process. Once finished, almost 3,500 students will be housed there, and this concerns people living in the area about traffic.
We can't handle traffic because there's not any place for people to walk.
Mr. Keyes says this is a problem because a lot of people in his neighborhood like to take walks and the streets don't have sidewalks.
It's a very dangerous situation to put that much traffic into a neighborhood with no sidewalks.
A lot of students will park their cars on streets like this where Mr. Keyes lives in order to walk to campus and not have to pay for parking. But if a new dorm is being built right up the road, more students could be parking here, and that could make these roads a little bit more dangerous. Students living in the new housing will have parking permits for the garage there, but Mr. Keyes doesn't think that will help parking problems in his neighborhood.
I do not think parking permits will work. Number one, it would take a full-time person to check.
He thinks it will be better to give people living off campus permits so students can't use those streets to park for free.
If somebody doesn't have a parking permit, then they shouldn't be parked in front of your house.
USC did do a traffic study that found car trips around the area would drop by 17% once the project is finished. But whether or not students will still try to park in neighborhoods near campus is unsure. Hannah Sims, Carolina News.
Year of negotiations, neighborhood leaders around that area of campus have agreed to the housing plan. USC plans to bring its request to build the village before Columbia's zoning board in December. 141 people were arrested on Thursday in protest of the Dakota Access Pipeline. A court decision ruled to allow construction of a $3.7 billion pipeline across 4 states. And tensions boiled over yesterday as police in riot gear faced off protesters on horseback.
We have certified cut team people to do this, and we do it in a very safe manner so no one gets hurt. The whole idea is that even from the very beginning, nobody wanted this. We wanted to make sure that the laws are followed.
Morton County Sheriff's Department says they had to take action because protesters were blocking a public highway and it is illegal to block a public road. Before the protesters, many of the Native American said the Dakota Pipeline threatens the drinking water and cultural evidence of Native Americans in the region.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and this week, attention has been on another domestic violence case in the NFL. Some are saying the NFL doesn't handle these cases the right way, but others aren't so sure. Brett Williams has the story.
Now, switching positions at release.
Football's on TV, and as usual, that means USC student Lynn Schutte is tuned in.
Gets me every time when they do the fake handoffs.
She never turns down a chance to catch NFL action. But for some in recent years,
oh, all right.
The league has become harder to watch because of domestic violence. 13 players have been arrested on domestic violence charges since the start of 2014. Kicker Josh Brown was released from the New York Giants this week after journal entries in which he admitted to abusing his wife became public. But Giants president and CEO John Mara admitted he knew about the abuse before the team signed Brown this offseason. After releasing him, Mara said the team's judgments and decisions about Brown were, quote, misguided. Schutte appreciates this apology.
I feel like the more that they come out and admit their mistakes, the less likely, or at least I hope the less likely, owners would be in the future to ignore this type of thing.
6 games is the suspension given to first-time domestic violence offenders. Now, the Office of Sexual Assault and Violence Intervention and Prevention here at USC tells us that suspension may be missing the bigger picture. Associate Director Shannon Nix says real change starts with education about these issues, and that treatment programs mean more than pure discipline.
Just banning someone from playing games, that's not going to make them, I don't think, oh gosh, something's got to change.
Time will tell if the NFL takes new steps to eliminate domestic violence. But for fans like Schutte, it can't be held responsible for all its players' mistakes.
I'm not going to boycott watching the NFL games or anything like that because of what a few people in their organization have done.
Brett Williams, Carolina News.
Nick says proper treatment programs address the reasons why abuse happens and try to help change behavior at that source.
Traffic is moving again on Interstate 126 after police say a person jumped from the bridge and into the Broad River. There were 2 accidents at the location. Both cars were flipped upside down on the interstate. Richland County deputies say one of the vehicles struck the guardrail and the person then ran to the bridge and then jumped into the river. Traffic was completely stopped and the Interstate 126 was blocked off at the Greystone Boulevard Riverbank Zoo exit. A teacher's assistant is injured after a school bus crash in Lexington this morning. The bus is for special needs students at Davis Elementary School. There were 6 students on board and no one else was injured. The bus crashed on Highway 321 near Gaston. Lexington County School District 2 says there will be an investigation on the crash. A South Carolina official is fined $500 and given a verbal reprimand for an ethics violation. The State Ethics Commission says the treasurer Curtis Loftus violated ethics laws when he used his position to hire a friend to aid a lawsuit against the Bank of New York. In a statement released by Loftus, he said he will appeal the decision in the $500 administrative fee. 2 Charleston teens are behind bars after they were charged with multiple counts of attempted murder in a shooting incident on Wednesday. Police say Justin Carroll and Jalen Hayward pulled up to a cart at a recreation complex and started shooting. Investigators say one of the shots hit the tire of the truck, but no one was injured. Police say this incident remains under investigation. And coming up, there's only one South Carolina driver on team in NASCAR.
See how a passionate race car driver from right here in Columbia worked his way up into the big leagues.